Hello everyone, welcome to the Tour Guide Service Skills class. Today, what we are going to learn is to check and agree on a great schedule. Before the tour group arrives at the destination, the local guide has already made contact with the whole accompanying guide and the team leader, and had a preliminary communication on the travel activity schedule. After the tour group arrives, in order to carry out the tour smoothly, before implementation, it is necessary for the local guide to once again have a face-to-face formal check and agreement with the whole accompanying guide and the team leader on the activity schedule, and form a formally written document recognized by all parties. We will study from three aspects: the necessity of checking and agreeing on the schedule, the time, place, and object of checking and agreeing on the schedule, and the handling measures for different situations that occur in checking and agreeing on the schedule. Necessity of checking and agreeing on the schedule. Although the entire activity schedule of the tour group has been clearly specified in the travel contract or agreement, the travel agency that organizes the group has formulated a reception plan for the tour group based on the contract or agreement and made prior arrangements for the group's activities in various places. However, as the buyers and consumers of tourism products, tourists have the right to review the tourism activity plan and also have the right to put forward modification suggestions. Therefore, tour guides and tourists agreeing on the activity schedule is a respect for buyers and consumers and also a kind of courtesy. As the spokesperson of the tour group, the team leader also hopes to receive the respect and cooperation of the tour guides in the place being visited. Making the agreement and announcement of the activity schedule a manifestation of the exercise of their powers. As for special tour groups, since in addition to general sightseeing, they also have specific tasks. Agreeing on the activity schedule is more important for tourists. Therefore, tour guides not only need to carefully check and agree on the activity schedule with the team leader, but also be well prepared for dealing with different opinions when they arise. When and where and with whom does the local guide carry out the checking and agreeing on the schedule? The time for agreeing on the schedule should be on the day when the tour group arrives, and it is best to choose before the start of the tourism activities. For general sightseeing tour groups, it can be carried out during the first along-the-way tour guide, that is, after soliciting the opinions of tourists. When introducing the local sightseeing and visiting projects, it can be determined. It can also be carried out after the tour group enters the hotel lobby and completes the check-in procedures. For key groups, professional groups, exchange groups, inspection groups, and academic groups, it should be carried out after the tour group arrives at the hotel. The location for discussing the schedule is generally in the hotel lobby, and if necessary, the meeting room of the hotel can be rented. The object of discussing the schedule should be determined according to the nature of the tour group. For general tour groups, it can be discussed with the team leader and full-service tour guide, or the team leader can invite individual or several prominent people in the group to participate. For key groups, professional groups, exchange groups, in addition to the team leader and the whole accompanying guide, relevant persons in charge in the group should also be invited to participate in the discussion. If the tour group has no team leader, it can be discussed with all the tourists of the group. In checking and agreeing on the schedule, If the situation in the case occurs, please let the students think about how to deal with it. If the other party puts forward relatively small modification suggestions, firstly, the local guide can, on the premise of not violating the travel contract, make efforts to arrange for the reasonable and potentially satisfiable items. Secondly, if the other party proposes to add new sightseeing projects, and the newly added sightseeing projects require an increase in fees, the local guide should report to the relevant department of the travel agency in a timely manner, and explain to the leader and tourists beforehand. If they agree, a written contract should be signed and charged according to the regulations. But the arrangement of the newly added project must not affect the implementation of the planned project. Finally, for the project that cannot meet the other party's requirements, the local guide should patiently do a good job in explaining and pursuing work. The requirements put forward by the other party have significant changes compared to the original planned schedule, or involve the reception specification. For such requirements, the local guide generally should politely refuse and explain that our side is not convenient to unilaterally not implement the contract. If the requirements put forward by the team leader and all tourists do have special reasons, the local guide must ask the relevant leaders of the travel agency for instructions and follow the instructions of the leaders. When there are some discrepancies between the tourism reception plan in the hands of the team leader or the whole accompanying guide and the local guide's reception plan, the local guide should report to the travel agency in a timely manner to find out the reasons to determine the responsibility. If it is the responsibility of the reception side, the local guide should truthfully explain the situation to the team leader and all tourists, apologize, and make adjustments in a timely manner. If the responsibility is not on the reception side, the local guide should not blame the other party. If necessary, the team leader can be asked to do a good job in explaining to the tourists and checking and agreeing on the schedule. One is to show respect for the team leader, the whole accompanying guide, and the tourists. The other one is that tourists also have the right to review the activity plan and put forward modification suggestions. We can also use the opportunity of discussion to understand the interests and requirements of tourists. So, to speak, checking and agreeing on the schedule is an important link in doing a good job in the reception work. It is also the prelude to the cooperation between the local guide and the team leader and the whole accompanying guide. That's all for today's study. See you in the next class.